Look, anyone who's watched Biden do the dementia two-step through the halls of the highest office in the land can appreciate the poetic qualities of a man who claims inflation is transitory, being incapable of movement. But sadly, this past week, we learned he may also be incapable of remaining inert.
President made up Dr. Biden, how is it anniversary? It's coming.
You know, when Biden said in February of last year that everything was starting to click, I didn't know he meant his knees, neck, and hips. And anyone else trying not to read too much into the fact that the first thing he did after he got back up on his feet was beeline for a little girl? Look, it was a laugh and a half, and I'm sure you've seen it dissected like the Zapruder footage at this point. Not because it's Biden, but because anyone falling down is fucking hilarious. It's like socking a dude in the dick. Laughter is thereafter compulsory. I don't make the rules, folks. I only enforce them. But the true laugh-in came in the aftermath in the form of colossal quantities of left-wing cope. Well, at least Biden can ride a bike, the bots bleated. Look at Trump after recovering from an infectious illness in all of a week, and all other assorted beat boopery, and all in the context of Biden staging a very obvious attempt to appear fit as a fiddle, as internal reports are emerging from the White House that have staffers close to the Chester-in-Chief saying he just seems so old. And that's really the only reason I'm ranting about this, to examine the aftermath of the event itself, namely how it differs from politicians that are opposed by the mainstream media. I mean, for the love of Lemmy, Trump took a drink of water with both hands, and MSNBC were calling for cognitive tests before he dropped the fucking glass. Biden biffs on a bike that ain't even fucking moving. Most of the media won't even report it, even though if it were Trump, they'd be invoking the 25th fucking amendment by the time the bruise formed. Look, if this were just about laughing at Biden physically and intellectually imploding before our very eyes, I wouldn't even bother. Saying Biden's getting kind of decrepit is like saying the ocean's getting kind of big and wet. Really, the only issue with Biden is when his mind goes blank, he forgets to turn off the sound.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Look, a fall like that could happen to literally anyone. Well, anyone whose most cherished memories are in black and white anyway. It's the narrative being constructed, or rather not being constructed, around occurrences like this that you need to be keen to. Take CNN's air quotes coverage of the event.
The president took a spill there. You can see it on the screen. The pool press traveling with him kind of caught it, and you see him getting pulled up by the Secret Service. Now, right after that, he said that he was doing okay, saying, you know, that being the president is like any other job. Some days it's easy, some days it's hard.
All right, just glad he's okay. Jasmine Wright, thank you so much.
Well wishes, some light concern, nothing too dramatic. For the record, I hope he didn't hurt anything serious either, and apparently he didn't, as evidenced by the 1 millimeter off the ground old man flop he did later that day.
Mr. President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling, sir? Good. There you go.
Now, to their coverage of Trump walking slowly down a slippery ramp on a windy fucking day.
There are some questions this morning about President Trump's health, and it's because of this video of the president where you see him walking very haltingly, one leg at a time. It starts happening here, down a ramp, and this is after he gave a commencement speech at West Point.
One of these things is not like the other one. One of these things just doesn't belong in the White House after a 4 a.m. ballot dump. Never mind how the media made falling the fuck down on a slippery staircase in a rain-soaked Austrian airport the singular defining moment of the Gerald Ford presidency. And before you bloviate about how that was SNL, note the media, no sunshine, the media made it a talking point, and then SNL picked up the ball and ran with it. How much of a talking point did they make it? Put it this way, show of hands. How many of you watching this rant were aware Gerald Ford fell down the stairs? Yeah, okay, neat. Now, how many of you were aware Ford fought off 2 separate assassination attempts?
For President Ford, the year seemed full of snags. In June, he fell down the plane steps on arriving in Austria. But a whole lot more serious were the 2 attempts to assassinate him. The first occurred on September 5th as the president was walking to the Capitol building in Sacramento, California.
Ladies, gentlemen, the mainstream media reality shift in full fucking effect. And before you call this plea a redundancy, look, I know I'm preaching to the choir with the Razor Force. You jaded assholes would sooner trust Timothy McVeigh at a fucking fertilizer plant, and I love you fuckers for it. This rant goes out to the rare non-choir members who might be watching this, who still believe Breitbart and Fox News are the fucking problem, late-night comedians are just telling jokes, and the alphabet networks are paragons of objectivity. You are being sold a narrative, subsumed and enveloped by it, in fact. Educators cram your cranium full of critical race theory and self-hatred. The media play favorites and foisted a fucking mummy into the White House, and the DNC's official court jester, Colbert, downplays it all in favor of Fox News clips that stopped being relevant or funny a decade and a goddamn half ago. But occasionally the clouds part, and you get the inescapable sense that it simply isn't real. And as fruitless as this plea will likely be, I'm here to tell you, you're absolutely right. In our stratified, politically galvanized society, I sincerely doubt a difference will be made, but to any remaining moderates, like Hunter Biden in an underage Chinese brothel, I am planting my seed. Look, the memes are fucking fun. Watching anyone, let alone the asterisk president of the free world, fall off a fucking bike is funny. Me, I'm impressed he didn't blame the tires for Bidenflation. But beyond the peals of public laughter is a more sinister side, transparently attempting to damage control for an administration presently polling underwater in 48 of the 50 United States. For crying out loud, Biden recently pulled below the 50 threshold in Massachusetts, a state that would elect Genghis Khan and a Gucci tux if only he ran as a fucking Democrat. When I said gun control, red flags, and a sudden focus on fucking abortion were all without exception distractions, I meant every word of it, but I also undersold the severity of the failure. You see, they're all contentious, they're all distractions, and most importantly, they're not fucking working anymore, as evidenced by the increasingly unhinged ravings of the figure they're intended to protect.
I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives. It's going to take time, but let the world coordinate the largest release, what I've been able to do, the largest release of oil from the global fund in history, 1 million barrels a day. Look, I believe in bipartisanship, but I have no illusions about this Republican Party, the MAGA Party. I've been able to bring some Republicans along on parts of my plan, but the fact is Republicans in Congress are still in the grip of the ultra-MAGA agenda.
Look, you can laugh. I certainly will and have. All I ask is that you also recognize what's actually occurring here and carry that thought into November when you have a chance to actually punish them for it. And as for the fall itself, my only question is, apart from the obvious PR stunt side of it, why would Biden start exercising at almost 80 years of age? I can only assume he saw an ad that said, you can have the body of a 16-year-old and thought, yeah, but where would I keep it? I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
By the way, talk of inflation. The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down.
Inflation is made in one place and one place only, here in Washington. This is the only place where there are presses like this that turn out these pieces of paper we call money. This is a place where the power resides to determine how rapidly the amount of money shall increase. What happened to all that noise? That's what would happen to inflation if we stopped letting the amount of money grow so rapidly.